live. I'm going to put this up right up front, just even though we don't have any artwork to go with it. Live. Start streaming. There we go. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you are. Ladies, gentlemen, other peoples, welcome to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by the folks at Nerd Caliber. Among those folks at Nerd Caliber, that would be me, Rodney Brown, editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter, cosplay photographer, burly _ adopter. God, I got a couple other things that I call myself, and I don't know what they are. And joining me tonight is the equally bald and equally bearded. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, everybody. Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama cosplay and/or photographer, depending on which mood I'm in at the time. We have actually, Rodney. We have on a couple of occasions people who are new to the show have wondered if we were brothers.
This is true.
We could be, but we are not.
We are not. Wow. Brains, stop doing that. I was going to make a joke about comparison about how you're Jewish and I'm not, but there are still similarities other than our bald head. I'm not going to do that. So, not going to do that. That would be wrong.
Did you start the stream?
Yeah.
I'm seeing. So I've got my YouTube page up to follow along, and I am not seeing it.
It actually just paused on us because you look really. You've got the RCA dog thing. Oh, there you go. Now it picked up again. Emily, welcome to the show. First in. Good to see you. What do we have to tease? We have to tease. I think our next thing is Katsu, right?
Sorry, yeah, I was just trying to get the stream to come up on my side. It's probably something on my end. What is up next? Yes, KatsuCon is coming up in the not too distant future. What else? In the random off chance you happen to be in South Florida and you're a fan of Harry Potter, I'm going to be down there Saturday the 31st at Universal for a Harry Potter meet and greet and photo thing at Universal as Hagrid. And I will be curious to see how long I can wear a wig, 8-inch platforms, and a full leather vest in Florida, even in January. So check back soon.
It's in the 30s down there right now, so it could hold up that
Perfect.
way. Emily, what up? What up? Well, we're about to talk about what up in the nerd news. Other than that, we're talking about what up in where we're going to be. So KatsuCon Valentine weekend, that will be Greg and Manny. Then a whole bucket load of us at PAX East here in Boston, in the greater Boston area. Well, it's in Boston. We're in the greater Boston area. The end of February and the first weekend of March. Then a bunch of other stuff after that. It's going to be busy. I'm noticing on my end anyway, our stream looks really choppy, folks. I don't know. I'll have to see how this goes. We can't really stop it and start it. It doesn't work that way. Once you stop it, the live stream is done. So fingers crossed it's either just on I'm having a bad display on my end, and not that we are really this awful in what we're presenting to you folks. But having said that, we're going to jump right into our very first topic, and that is, for those of you who are Game of Thrones fans, or in general Song of Ice and Fire, that is, of course, the sigil, the house seal for House Targaryen. And the news is that we have a kind of a date for where did all of my news go? Oh, there it is, because I moved it to get out of my way. Oh, and I forgot we were going to jump ahead with something, so we'll do that afterwards. The news is that we've got a kind of a date for when House of the Dragon, which is the HBO prequel series to Game of Thrones, the one that did get greenlit, not the one that got kicked to the curb. And that is, according to HBO President of Programming Casey Bloys, quote, "My guess is sometime in 2022. So at least it's probably going to happen in 2022 and not 2021. But even the head of programming doesn't know for sure. So we'll have to see. Apparently, Martin and the showrunner, who am Ryan Condal, are writing it right now. So that's a good thing, which means he's probably not writing the book.
Book. Who reads anymore?
Exactly. Lots of people. Exactly. I want that book. I want it. Anyway.
Yeah, my door's not going to hold itself open.
Yeah, I'm anticipating it's not going to be a light, easy, breezy read.
No. This is cool. I'm looking forward to it. Going to be interesting to see what they do with it. This is kind of in the very much the so early. It's just announced to keep people. Does this even qualify as a teaser at this point? Sometime, they've got a treatment. It's sometime in 2022. There's no casting. There's no definitive writing. So it's just, I think it's just, hey, don't cancel HBO. I swear we've got a cool thing coming soon.
Soon in 2 years. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And even if the head of programming can't even say for sure what year it's going to be in, which says I think it'll be 2022, then yeah, this isn't news per se, other than it's one of the little dribbles of information that we get, and of course we're just gonna, like little goldfish, gobble that right up because we want more information about this and we want the book, George. Darn it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll jump over from this to our next topic, and this literally popped up in our feed, or in my news feed 2 minutes before we went live. And so I got no time to get any sort of artwork to go with this. But the news is that Warner Brothers just announced that it's going to be working with Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams' company, to develop film and TV projects based on the Justice League Dark storylines from DC Comics. Justice League Dark started out as a comic book that started in 2011 with a whole bunch of DC's sort of magical, supernatural, shading into horror-y type characters as a supernatural superhero team. So you had Zatanna, and you had Constantine, and you had Swamp Thing, Man-Bat. It wound up being turned into a wonderful animated movie. When did we do that interview, Greg?
I was just thinking of that. I want to say probably 2016.
I think that sounds right, which means it would have premiered,
I had to guess,
in 2017. If you get a chance, go back. Since we're on YouTube, go to Nerd Caliber's channel, do a search Justice League Dark. I interviewed two of the principals, voice actors, Matt Ryan, who reprised his role as Constantine from the TV series in the animated version, and Jason O'Mara, who did the voice of Batman, has done the voice of Batman very well a number of times. And that was a lot of fun.
That was a good interview.
Yep, I liked it a lot. But yeah, so movies and TV projects from Abrams' development company. So I'm really looking forward to what more we'll hear about this. Obviously, it's just a deal signed, so there's no project yet for sure. But please, Constantine, bring Constantine back as a TV series.
That's pretty cool.
So there's that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with it, so it might be a cool way to kind of get an intro.
It would be. I would highly recommend, Greg, or anybody else watching, if anybody's watching, because Emily's the only one who said anything, and they're on cue. Rodimus Primal 21, howdy, welcome to the show. Like, you couldn't have timed that any better. That was pretty amazing. And I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen it to go check out the Justice League Dark animated movie. We all know Warner Brothers, when it comes to movies, animated movies, are the only things that they do well in the DC universe, Wonder Woman aside. Um, but it's really good. It's fun, entertaining, um, great integration of the various voice actors. It's a good story.
Love it.
Love it. Waifu, welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. You missed two quick topics. Just a real quick recap. Um, the HBO prequel to Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, is kind of probably going to be hitting us in 2022, according to HBO's head of programming. And there's no more other information that came out of that particular article. And we just wrapped up talking about Justice League Dark. J.J. Abrams' company Bad Robot has been teamed up with Warner Brothers and DC to make live, I assume live action, television series and movies based on Justice League Dark. Waifu went to a gaming convention. Cool. Tell us about it. Which one? And Rodimus Primal, do you like Transformers? I do. Depending upon which iteration you're talking about.
Which property?
Exactly. The Michael Bay movies? No.
The Travis Knight movie.
Oh, yeah. Bumblebee. Bumblebee, awesome. And the early cartoons.
Yeah. Speaking of which, sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack here.
Sidetrack away.
Rodney, have you or anybody who is on the live chat at the moment seen this show on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's well worth a watch. It is one episode, or I should say each episode does a fairly deep dive into one particular toy that's been a massive in terms of influence, in terms of sales. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Barbie, what do you call it? Why am I blanking on the other one I was thinking of? Transformers. If I didn't just say that one. It's pretty cool because they talk to a lot of the people. It's fairly breezy, but it's interesting to see the back and forth about, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a perfect example. That was just this little kind of one-off comic that Kevin Eastman and his partner were just doing kind of for fun, and it was local and that close to not being a thing, and then boom, it's a thing. So it's a cool show.
Michael Laird, Eastman and Laird, Michael Laird.
Laird, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I'll watch it.
Yep.
Rodimus Primal. I hate Michael Bay so much. I don't know if I hate his Transformers movies. And I hate a lot of other things, that he's made, like Pearl Harbor and so on. But, there are some movies he's made that I didn't hate.
Name three. You can't.
Bad Boys, the original.
All right, what's our next topic?
All right. Waifu said the gaming convention was in San Antonio. The only con I know in San Antonio is, of course, Alamo Comic-Con. And clearly that's not it, because it was a gaming convention. But that's cool. Hello Kitty. Do we have any Hello Kitty stuff? Or did your cat just walk through the frame?
Cat did not walk through the frame.
Okay. Anyway, moving on to our next topic. Our next topic is about this handsome gentleman right here. It took me quite a while. Yes, you, Greg. You. Or Oscar Isaac. Could be one or the other. You look like twins. The news is, so this is really weird. Oscar Isaac starred in the movie Ex Machina. And now Oscar Isaac has just been announced to star in a movie adaptation of the comic book Ex Machina, which have nothing to do with each other whatsoever, and in fact they're going to be calling the movie The Machine, because they don't want that much confusion that Oscar Isaac starred in two movies called Ex Machina.
I mean, I knew that the reboot cycle was getting smaller and smaller, but I didn't think you rebooted a movie in 2020 that you made in 2016.
Yeah, the 4-year reboot cycle would be bad. Rodimus Prime, I've already seen the new Bad Boys. It was funny. I've heard mixed reviews. I do know people who enjoyed it quite a bit for what it was. Springtrap the Killer, or aka William Afton. So let's call you Springtrap or whatever. Hello, welcome to the show. So anyway, if you haven't heard of, and I'm sure probably a lot of people haven't heard of
Did not.
the comic book Ex Machina, it's a it says it's a DC property, but I'm pretty sure it was Vertigo in the DC line. Comic book in which a former superhero, um, who is the character that Oscar Isaac is going to be playing, Mitchell Hundred, has been elected mayor of New York City, and it is supposedly a sort of combination of, as IO9 calls it, West Wing style politics and super powered soul searching. I've heard it described as sort of like The Boys with a lot less, violence and cursing, and a lot more emphasis on politics and the internal workings of, how somebody who is a superhero tries really hard not to use superhero things to get things done in a political situation.
That when you said that, all I can think is, there are Quentin Tarantino movies with less swearing and violence than The Boys.
That is true. Yeah. That.
But yes, it does. It does have that same kind of from the information that we've got so far. It does have The Boys was the first thing that I thought of. Kind of interesting look at sort of behind the cape, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Waifu. Hopefully we answered that. Who's that? Which I brought the picture back up on the screen. That is Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron from the Star Wars latest trilogy. Let's see, Llewellyn Davis from Inside Llewellyn Davis. The genius inventor of the robot in Ex Machina. The husband missing in not Arrival, the other one that begins with an A.
Oh, snap.
The Natalie Portman movie.
Yeah.
Anyway. The other science fiction movie.
Yes. And what's the other upcoming interesting sci-fi thing that he's going to be involved in?
All right. I know, but I can't remember. Tell me.
Duke Leto Atreides.
Oh, yes, of course. He is Duke Leto in Dune. Supposedly, all right, side note here, because we have a fairly short roster anyway, the first images from Dune have been released to like producers, investors, and so on, and word on the street from people who were at that meeting is that it's absolutely stunning looking. That it's just gorgeous and different, and I can't wait to see those if they get released. Please, somebody release those. Now I sound like Trump. Please, somebody actually release those out into the wild here so we can take a look at them. I'm dying to see what Denis Villeneuve is going to do with that movie.
Can't wait.
But moving on. I laugh every time I see this. That is the character MODOK. That is Greg and everybody in the cosplay community around here. His good friend Mark, as MODOK from Rhode Island Comic Con 2014. But the news is that character, who's a Marvel villain, it has, and we've talked about this before, has his own series coming up on Hulu, an animated series done by Patton Oswalt, who's going to be playing MODOK, and we just got a dump of all kind of information about what the series is going to be about, and it's going to be a slice of life family drama about the mental organism designed only for killing, which is what MODOK stands for. Very adult-centric, from what I hear, and I can't wait. Voice cast members from Veep, from the Goldbergs, from House of Lies, from Lucifer.
Ben Schwartz is going to be in it. Okay, that'll be insane.
Playing his 12-year-old son, Lou.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I can't wait. Monica, I don't have no idea what the heck that is you put in there. So I'm gonna just hide it. Try again. It's a lot of weird, nonsensical letter combinations that don't make anything. If it was some sort of really interesting code, we run it through a code breaker. No, anyway, MODOK could probably do that because he's a genius.
He is a mental organism.
He is a mental organism.
But
Exactly.
that's not really what he's designed for.
Yes, but he's designed only for killing, not for breaking ciphers.
Is he designed for killing it?
Killing it, man. Apparently not. Based on what this article says, he's not killing it with his life or anything. He's got, family problems with his kids, family problems with his wife, work problems. Okay, apparently, so this is really inside baseball for Marvel fans, but MODOK founded Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM, which was used in Iron Man 3. That was the name of the company that Killian founded. So, they've already kind of taken that. But AIM has been, for the longest time, one of Captain America's major villain groups, and Shield, so Nick Fury and all of these other people. And apparently, it's fallen on such hard times that it gets bought out by a venture capital group. I'm dying to see how that. And he winds up with this like 30-something super go-getter, tech Silicon Valley kid as his boss.
Well, this sounds fairly amazing just from the cast alone. Ben Schwartz is funny as hell. Wendy McClendon, Covey is incredible. Scrolling down here, it's like this is like burying the lead. Melissa Fumero from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Beck Bennett from SNL, and John Daly from The Kroll Show.
But I think because those people had already been announced before.
Yeah.
Waifu got some stuff at the gaming convention, like a Hello Neighbor plushie and a tiny build lanyard and cotton candy. Oh, that's cool. Hello Neighbor plushie. You mean like from
the game?
There's a game, Hello Neighbor.
Oh yeah, it's a bizarre ass game.
Okay. Satya, you're called out. There you go. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I hope I pronounced that even remotely close.
What works, I mean, theoretically, it depends on how deep down this particular lane they go. The fact that it's an adult-centric comedy and it's on Hulu may give Patton Oswalt a little license to go a little crazy.
Yep.
A little more so than it might be if it was strictly on Disney Plus, or I'm sorry, it is on Disney Plus. No, it's on Hulu.
No, it's on Hulu.
Yeah. If it was on Disney something or other.
Waifu, no, as in that is Hello Neighbor is not from the game. Is it from the Tom Hanks movie about Mr. Rogers? Anyway, real quick aside about this, I'm going to put this picture of MODOK back up here because when MODOK got up on stage, this is during the costume contest that year, when he got up on stage, he delivers a MODOK speech in MODOK voice, and then the costume fell apart, and inside Mark was actually wearing a Red Skull costume. And Red Skull was sort of behind the creation of MODOK. Hydra was behind the creation of MODOK, and it was one of the best moments. The crowd went nuts. It was absolutely fantastic. Emily, welcome to the show.
It was a jaw on the floor moment, to be sure. It was also one of those like, well, guess I'm not winning anything today.
Yeah, that's true. Satya, you're welcome. Emily, okay, ... Back at you. Moving on to our next bit of news. And Greg, so I'm just going to sit back and let Greg drool all over this.
Sure, this is probably right up my lane. This is definitely a fanboy thing for me. Hopefully some of you guys out there are familiar with Terry Pratchett's Discworld. If you're not, and perhaps you saw Good Omens on Amazon this year, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman co-wrote the Good Omens book a long time ago. The sarcastic sense of humor that the poking fun at religion and the establishment that was a big part of Good Omens. That's very much Terry Pratchett. So the BBC America is working on a new Discworld adaptation that they've been teasing for a little while called The Watch, which is kind of about the constabulary in Ankh-Morpork. They've just released some images for the first time. They look pretty cool. It's a weird, wacky, crazy cast of dwarfs and trolls and werewolves and people and wizards and assassins. And if you've ever had a chance to catch either of the other handful of Discworld adaptations that BBC America has done, this looks like it's going to be in the same vein, but maybe even bigger budget. They've sort of been trending that way. I don't know if you caught Once Upon a Time. What was the first one that they did? The Hogfather, not to be confused with Rodney, the Rodfather. Then a couple of years ago, they did Going Postal, which was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And so now this is coming out. Yep, there we go. There's a couple of guys. That's Carrot from The Watch. So any fans of Terry Pratchett, any fans of Discworld, this should be right in your swim lane.
If you're not familiar with the design aesthetic, go look up the rest of the images. It has, if you're a steampunk, imagine kind of Harry Potter meets the Gunslinger meets steampunk.
Good way to put it.
That it's just gorgeous looking, and my only possible quibble is that it looks a little bit like, or the world that they're in looks a little bit like the world that they created for something Row, Covenant Row? No, what was the
Carnival
Row?
Which similar, maybe?
Yeah, a little similar. This really super lived-in kind of rundown. As you can see there, in the image that's back up there, there's graffiti all over the walls, which wasn't in Carnival Row. So that may not be the case. And I don't know that would necessarily detract from it. I mean, one sort of rundown steampunky kind of world is going to look a little bit like another, no matter how you cut it. Waifu says, wait, no, Hello Neighbor is a horror game. So I think it is the game you were referring to, Greg. A really weird... Yeah. Okay.
There's two or three of them. It's a oddball sort of indie type game. Not really any particularly good way to describe it, but it's out there. It's interesting.
So the guy that's on fire jumping. So you can't see this, folks, because this is one of the images that's in the article that I'm reading. But there's an image of a guy that's on fire. It looks like he's jumping into a sewer or something. Do we have any idea what that's all about, Greg? Does that ring any bells?
I do not offhand. There have been, I mean, there's like 30 plus Discworld books that fall into different groups. There's a bunch that have been in and around Ankh-Morpork featuring Sam Grimes, the head of the Watch. From what I've read, they're kind of cherry picking from a few different books in that, kind of that group, 2, 3, 4 different ones, as opposed to really straight up adapting one like Going Postal, which was very much just that one book. So offhand, I don't know. Could be any number of things.
All right, cool. And I'm just going back, since I haven't read the books, I just love this description of Carrot. Carrot Iron Founderson, quote, the idealistic new recruit raised by dwarfs, but really a human abandoned at birth. And I'm guessing that he is supposed to be a pretty tall, because he looks pretty tall in that image.
I'm fairly sure that's him that you had in the image with the ginger and the sort of the tan jacket on.
Yep.
If anything, he's closer to. It's been a while since I've read one in this series, but if I remember right, he might actually be like half troll. I could be way off on that, but he's described as a real big, kind of thudding, not the brightest bulb on the tree type. So the one that cracked me up, uh, Constable Cheery, who was in the books, who was a dwarf, who was not particularly well thought of by her clan for joining the Watch, is now an indigenous non-binary forensic expert ostracized by her kin and finding a new identity.
All right. Cool.
Cool. Bring it on.
Update it for the 21st.
Exactly.
All right, moving on to our next topic, and this I am so excited about. They have confirmed, yes, that Alan Tudyk will be once again doing the voice of K2SO. That is, of course, K2SO that's up on your screen, in the Disney Plus series based on the life and times of Cassian Andor prior to the movie Rogue One, because it can't be after it. Spoiler alert. But yes, please, more Alan Tudyk doing anything, always and forever.
Pretty much. Interesting that they chose this particular focal point and timeline for the next Star Wars series on Disney Plus. I think it's pretty cool. I liked Rogue One a lot. It certainly had plenty of problems, but for a movie with the word war in the title, it was really the only traditional sort of war movie in a lot of ways. That's a total aside. So I like it. It's a cool idea. It's K2SO is pretty cool. I like that they're taking some risks on some, it would have been easy to do a Chewbacca series or a Han Solo series. But they're deliberately kind of going deep into the canon and finding some, maybe second, third tier characters, storylines, etc., that flesh out everything.
So this is what you won't get on other channels, folks. You will get full and complete disclosure. This is what happens when your editor doesn't read everything. We covered this 6 months ago. This was from April of this year. That's why this sounded so terribly familiar. I'm still very excited about Alan Tudyk returning as K2SO, but it is not news.
Yeah, as I was reading through this, I'm like, Lucasfilm announced this today alongside with the reveal that Disney Plus will be released in November. Huh. Okay.
You mean the one that I've been subscribing to since November? All right, so moving on to our next actual news.
What else we got?
We have that guy right there. That is Aquaman from the cover of one of Aquaman's own comic books. And I picked this because the news is that James Wan, who directed the Aquaman movie, has confirmed that he will be doing an Aquaman animated series for HBO Max, for the which is the Warner Brothers streaming thingamajiggy. And I'm gathering that it is going to be essentially based on, or at least connected to, the movie. 3-part mini-series. Standalone stories laced with ecological and ethical themes. It doesn't say whether they're going to design him to look more like Jason Momoa or more like, the blonde Arthur Curry that is actually the way he is in literally every other interpretation of him. Waifu, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda. We all love Baby Yoda. I saw so many Baby Yodas at Aresia this past weekend. And while Disney has done a pretty solid job, this is an aside again, has nothing to do with Aquaman, has done a pretty good job about kicking every Etsy, etc. seller of Baby Yoda merchandise that is not licensed to the curb. They can't do it on physical products yet. So the dealer's room at Aresia was loaded with them.
Nice.
Knit ones,
because you know what?
ones.
I mean, if you think of it, Disney needs the money more than I do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, really, I mean, they just might not make it if we don't support them.
Exactly. Well, I support them 100%. I also support people doing creative work.
Hmm.
As a business owner, I support the rights of a business to protect its intellectual
Absolutely.
property. But I also know that Disney can be really vicious about it in ways that it doesn't need to.
Yes, they are. Yep.
But getting back to Aquaman, it will include Volko, who was in the movie, Mera, of course, who was in the movie, and the producers put it this way: the series begins with Aquaman's first day on the job as King of Atlantis, and he has a lot of catching up to do with the help of Volko and Mera. Um, so, yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool. And with James Wan, it's going to be exciting. It's probably going to have a lot of horror elements. Um,
Man, did this movie really make $1 billion?
yeah, it did. 218,476 Rose. They look the same. Baby Yoda and Baby Yoda look the same. Or Momoa and this version of Aquaman. They do look a lot alike. In fact, I know Momoa's character was based on this particular design of Aquaman after, I can't remember which crisis or flash thingy or whatever, where they rebooted him yet again. It wasn't the one where they cut his arm off. Do remember that one for a while. Waifu, also, did the people who made Star Wars, did they stop making Star Wars movies? No, Waifu. And odd that you should ask. What a segue.
Man, is this guy on our payroll?
I know. So that is, of course, not a Star Wars character of any kind whatsoever. That is Taika Waititi, not the kid, as Hitler from his most recent movie, Jojo Rabbit, which has been winning all kinds of awards. It's supposed to be hilariously funny. And the rumor, we'll have to call this rumor because it's not really news yet, is that Lucasfilm has offered Taika Waititi a Star Wars movie. That they want him to make something, no word about what the storyline would be, what characters, anything like that. They want Taika Waititi to make a Star Wars movie. Rumor.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
Not confirmed. And yes, please, yes, please. Um, Thor Ragnarok, Jojo Rabbit, his work on The Mandalorian. He directed the last episode. He was, of course, the voice of IG-11, the death droid slash nursemaid. Um, he is such a talent. I was almost going to put up What We Do in the Shadows images here, but the one that we've used before, yeah, waifu, that he played Hitler in a movie, a comedy, a wildly broad comedy, in which he's not actually Hitler. He's the imagination of Hitler inside the boy who's in the picture, who is a member of the Hitler Youth during the rise of Nazism in Germany.
It's extremely satirical. Um, God, it's like virtually impossible to describe. It's satire. It's not really black comedy. It's not bleak. It's just out there. It's vaguely reminiscent of what was the Wes Anderson movie with the kids on the island? It came out a few years ago.
Oh, the one with the scouts, but I can't remember the name of it
Yeah,
either. Yeah.
reminded me a little bit of that. Waifu, who made this movie? So Taika Waititi, who is playing Hitler in this is a project he'd had in the back burner for a long time, and somehow managed to get it made. I think because he had such a smash hit with Thor Ragnarok. You know how it goes. I mean, suddenly everybody wants that director to start writing and filming stuff. Um, so somehow or other in 2019, a guy got to make a movie about a little kid with an imaginary friend who was Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Um,
And
and
from,
it was really good.
and from what I understand, it is very much a family affirming film. The story, it's the strength of family love, and it just happens to portray imaginary Hitler and the rest of the Nazis who are not imaginary, the ones that the kids are members of the Hitler Youth, as complete and utter buffoons, evil buffoons, but buffoons.
Yeah, I mean this is a reference that's gonna date me badly, but in the same vein as Colonel Schultz or Corporal Schultz and
Sergeant
Colonel
Schultz.
what's his face on Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Colonel Clink. You
yeah,
know,
Colonel Clink, thank you.
yeah. So anyway, waifu.
Anyway, we were talking about Star Wars.
Exactly. I can't. I don't know that we can recommend this if you're that turned off by the concept of Hitler. But if you've ever seen any of the movies where Hitler and the Nazis are made brutal fun of, satirical brutal fun of, like a number of Mel Brooks's movies, it's kind of in that vein. This is not a serious Hitler. This is
Yeah.
let's make the Nazis as silly as they really are, without ignoring their danger. So.
Yep.
But anyway, this man who is well regarded enough, as Greg said, in Hollywood to be allowed to make a movie about a funny Hitler, is being offered a Star Wars movie. And so your question is perfectly timed. They have not stopped making Star Wars movies. Rian Johnson still has under his belt, in theory, another Star Wars at least movie, if not trilogy, that would be set in a different time frame, or it's telling different stories. Maybe not in a different time frame, although everybody wants it to be Knights of the Old Republic. There are
if
people.
if you're Rian Johnson, sorry, just as a side here, this is in no way a commentary on the movie The Last Jedi, but if you're Rian Johnson, after the utter shitstorm that was his life after that movie was released, would you want to go back to the Star Wars director's chair, or would you want to be like, yeah, no, I'm good?
You know what? He's still working on it, according to this article, and of course the thank God, Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones showrunners that absolutely ruined the last 2 seasons of that show, quit. They were going to be making a trilogy as well, and they quit once they signed an exclusive deal with Netflix. So
Cool.
oh.
Maybe fuck up some shows over there.
But hey, you know who else is making a Star Wars movie? Quentin Tarantino.
That's the word on the street. I'll wait till I see it.
Yep.
I think, given the right property, and I mean, if anybody can walk up to that table and say, "Cool, I need free reign within certain limits," it's Tarantino.
Well, you know what? Now that I said that, I might have my wrong star. That might have been a Star Trek.
Oh, I think, yeah. Shoot, now that you say that, you may be right. Anyway, so if you're a fan of Thor Ragnarok, this is a pretty cool bit of news. If you liked the sense of humor that movie had, the fact that it took the piss out of itself from the beginning to the end, didn't take itself seriously, and I thought this at the time, and I've read other people with a similar hot take, kind of almost like resurrected Hemsworth as Thor. The 2 Thor movies, especially the Dark World, they didn't, relative to other Marvel, didn't do very well. They were critically panned because frankly they were shit. Well, Dark World in particular.
Yeah.
And he was almost like an afterthought. And I think after this came out, he played a much bigger role, and they're already working on another what do you call it? Another Thor movie. Did we talk about this a couple weeks ago? That Natalie Portman is going to be back involved with, and Taika Waititi's directing again. So
yep.
This is the that Taika Waititi is so hot right now.
We did talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, but yeah, he's also making Thor: Love and Thunder, the next Thor movie.
And just because you mentioned Rian Johnson and it happens to be up in this, Rian Johnson's reportedly working on a sequel to Knives Out, which I don't know how that works exactly, given how that movie ended, which I'll say nothing about. But if you're a fan of really sharply written, funny murder mystery movies, go see Knives Out. Really fun.
I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it. I'm hopefully hopefully it'll drop on something like Amazon Prime or something soon. Um,
So here you go. I'm gonna throw your big market segue for you
no, no,
here.
no. Before you throw the hold up, before you throw the big market segue, there was one other bit of news because you had brought up Thor: Love and Thunder, and we had the big news last week about who had just signed on to play probably the villain in that.
I was not able to make it last week, so I don't know the answer to that question.
And I can find out by looking at our last budget. Hold on, folks, real quickly. Scrolling down the pages here. This is also what you call exciting live YouTube TV stuff.
Do 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 do. There you go. I'll stretch it a little bit.
Yeah, and that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Come on, come on. We'll get there. It was 2 weeks ago. Christian Bale in talks. Hasn't
That's right.
confirmed
In
it.
talks.
In talks.
In talks.
So if Christian Bale is in a Taika Waititi movie about Jane Foster as the female Thor, yeah, yep, all for that. All right, give me that segue, man. Unless I blew it.
Nope. So we were talking about Jojo Rabbit. The mother in Jojo Rabbit is none other than Scarlett Johansson, who, as luck would have it, features in our next and final segment. What do we got, Rodney?
That's smooth, man. That's smooth like what the hell was the name of that bully boy?
Smooth like Dolomite.
Smooth like that bully boy bourbon I had this weekend.
That's smooth bourbon.
Oh, that was so smooth.
Anyway, although not to one up you here, but I spent the weekend in Nashville and drank a lot of really good bourbon.
That is true. I'm sure that yeah, you are the home of it, where it's from. Anyway, that is of course Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. One of the many screen grabs from the latest trailer to drop, and I missed this, folks, last week. It dropped 2 days before last week's show, and somehow I completely missed it until literally minutes after we closed the show. And then I went and looked at some sort of alert somebody sent and went, oh, damn. So we're a little bit more than 1 week's worth of past news. But the second trailer for Black Widow dropped. We get to see a lot more of the main villain, Taskmaster, in a couple of different looks. So I'm thinking that it's like maybe a first encounter in a flashback and then an updated counter. But you really get to see Taskmaster's abilities, and it is presented exactly the way Taskmaster works in the comics. The character has a complete mimetic physical genius capability where they can, and I'm saying they because apparently there's some sort of theory floating out there that Taskmaster, wow, may in fact not be the male character that he is in the comics. But Taskmaster has the ability to, just looking at somebody perform a physical combat action, recreate that perfectly. Their reflexes are like photographic memory. That's what they call it, photographic reflexes. And in the trailer, the best thing about the trailer, from a Marvel fan like me, you get to see that in action in a couple of fight scenes. A couple of them with Black Widow, one with, I think, Red Guardian. You also get to see that clearly the Taskmaster has fought others. The character uses a shield, which is canon to the comic, just like Captain Marvel uses a shield. The character uses a bow as accurately as Hawkeye. It's, they nailed it. They nailed Taskmaster. The rest of the trailer, it's good. That's about the best you can say about it, I think. Greg?
Probably fine.
Yeah.
I was, I watched it, and I it's probably a little telling that like all I can remember from it was Oh yeah, there was like a lot of superhero pose landings. Um, I don't
Bad,
really know what
bad
it
on
was
your knees,
about.
according to Deadpool.
Very bad on the knees. Although Deadpool probably spends more time on his knees than anyway.
But
Um, uh, looks okay. I'm a little disappointed, and it's hard to read too much into a trailer. It depends on how it's cut, what they choose, the voiceovers that they use. But the just from the trailer, the dialogue seemed really kind of chunky and uh, kind of dumb. um, the action sequences look pretty cool, but I've seen them 4,000 times. I mean, I don't know how much different you can do at this point, but um, I was kind of hoping with all of the buildup that there's been about this finally being a female-led Marvel action movie, Marvel hero movie, that they'd go to the absolute A team for everything on it, and it just seemed like it was kind of a middling. Who knows? So here's hoping I'm completely off base. I hope it's awesome.
so my theory is that they don't want to give away too much in the trailers because what they would be giving away for the stuff that would fit what you want, which is like the actual quality writing and drama around Black Widow's existence, is that the blonde character played by Florence Pugh, Yelena Belova, um, in the comics is a replacement Black Widow when Natasha takes a break for a while. Um, and they make it clear in the trailer that there are a number of new Black Widows that are currently in the process of going through the Red Room training uh, program. Um, I think that what they're doing is they're setting this up to be the step between what happened to Black Widow in Endgame. And the movie's been out long enough. Yeah, is that a spoiler? Um, if I actually say it, and who might be Black Widow going forward in Avengers or Avengers adjacent movies like New Avengers or Young Avengers, please, in Phase 4 or Phase 5 of the Marvel of the MCU. Um, and I think that is a lot of the drama that they don't want to show because it would give those plot elements away. Um, but that's just a theory, my theory. Um, it could also be just a really clunky, bad dialogue movie. So let's hope that's not the case.
I also hope it's not a case of Scarlett Johansson being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I've got to put all this costume on again and do one more movie."
Well, I don't think that's the case. Remember, she fought for it hard enough that they
True.
actually. Part of the reason was that it was delayed as long as it was is that she refused, absolutely refused to do it without her choice of director.
True.
And that says an awful lot about how committed she was to this movie. Um, and she got her choice of director, which is, come on, it's got to be in here. Um, it is not in here.
I'll find it.
Female director, very well respected, made what movie and what movie? Um,
Kate Shortland,
yes.
and I'm looking for mostly TV stuff. Smilf, The
Smilf.
Secret Life of Us.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's the only two that I've even heard of. I don't think I've seen either of them though.
Uh, yeah, I can't. There's nothing in here either about that. But yes, that was Scarlett Johansson's handpicked choice for director. So that's why one of the reasons why the movie was delayed. So let's hope that that combination of the two of them came together and worked out real well. And Marvel's just giving us some kind of bland trailers. Um,
Fingers crossed.
yeah, I mean it's. I was gonna say it's happened before. Not really. Um, Yeah, no, when they do a trailer, that's usually, oh my god, I'm so excited, and then the movie even pays off more than that. So, but we'll see. I'm still hopeful, put it that way.
Cool.
As is most of the people out there on our poll that we did on our website about what movies you're most excited to see in 2020. Black Widow was one of the ones that was right up there, along with Wonder Woman 1984. It was basically a yay ladies poll. I'm like, yes, liking that. Anyway, that's our show, folks. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the chats. Wonderful questions. We will see. Some of us will see some of you at Katsucon. Some of us will see a bunch of you at PAX East. And then maybe other things in and between and around and before. Oh, geez, that's right. Manny's going to a gaming. Speaking of gaming conventions, waifu, Manny's going to a gaming convention uh, in a couple of weekends. Captain Con, right in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Haven't heard of that one.
Talk to Mink the Satyr. Apparently, she's pretty heavily involved in it, and it looks pretty interesting. It since it's in the same hotel as TempleCon, it looks an awful lot like TempleCon, frankly, which is another gaming con down in Warwick, Rhode Island. But anyway, so I hope to see a bunch of you there. Putting a call out here, we still have a few open positions. I'm running the Anime Boston photography department this year up here in Boston, Anime Boston, April 10th through 12th. And we still have a couple of open spots for event photographers, so like panels, masquerade, things like that. And I think we have one open position still for the studio, for a studio photographer. So shooting cosplay inside the studio setups. And if you want to volunteer for any other things at Anime Boston, they still have a bunch of other open positions for various volunteer roles, whether it's security or guest relations or things like that. Go to the Anime Boston website. Go to the left of the screen, scroll down to where it says staff, and there's a whole thing there on how you can get into the staff applications and that whole process. But if you're at all experienced with any kind of photography and you want to learn more and have fun at Anime Boston, go do that. Or reach out to me on Nerd Caliber or me, my site, or wherever. And we will talk to you all. Oh, I'm Rodney Brown, Editor-in-Chief, Nerd Caliber. And in addition to me signing off also is...
Craig Snyder, Wonder Llama. See y'all soon.
Bye-bye.